Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Koltsov. I am a stroke neurologist and a researcher at Russian National Research Medical University, Moscow. It is a great pleasure to present this pilot project. I have nothing to disclose. This project is being implemented by an international team. I will talk on behalf of our team. Before an actual introduction to the project, let me share with you a very personal story. Several years ago, I was a stroke neurologist at a quite dysfunctional hospital with a disorganized stroke care. The hospital was well equipped with everything from CT scanner to cath lab, but nothing was working efficiently. So, late at night, I received a call from paramedic because the paramedic didn't know where to transport a very young stroke patient with severe symptoms. It was an 18-year-old boy raised by a single mother. They lived in a rural area with no hospitals nearby. During summer, he was preparing for his university entrance exams. It was around 1 a.m. when his mother heard strange noise coming from his room. She called for him, but he did not respond. She entered the room. She found him lying on the floor. His left arm and leg were completely paralyzed, no movement at all. There was a facial weakness on the left side. There was a forced case palsy. The patient did not respond to visual and tactile stimuli. He was completely mute. When paramedics arrived, he was not alert. It was definitely a severe stroke, and the boy was dying. Of course, I have told the paramedic to transfer this patient to my hospital, and I spent the next hour trying to convince a dozen of people to prepare for a potential thrombectomy. Everyone was extremely annoyed, with an exception of a single person, a new neurointerventionist. Soon after the boy was admitted, we found right ICU occlusion. I have decided to skip TPA and do a direct thrombectomy for reasons mostly related to inefficient workflow at the hospital at the time. Thrombectomy was a complete success with TC3. The recovery after stroke was complete. This was a first stroke thrombectomy in a year and the first ever successful stroke thrombectomy in this hospital. Moreover, door-to groin time was around 25 or 30 minutes. All that in a hospital with close to zero prior thrombectomy experience. Why did I tell this story? Definitely not for applause. I told this story as an actual example of an extremely dysfunctional stroke care implementation in one particular place. Stroke care should not rely on the will of a single person. Good stroke outcomes should not be a result of a sequence of lucky coincidences. People with stroke should be cared for properly in every case. Of course, stroke care is a constantly evolving field of medicine with state-of-the-art technologies and tremendous number of randomized clinical trials completed every year. In stroke medicine, you cannot get away by being a good doctor or just by being well equipped to actually succeed. You have to be a part of a good, dedicated stroke team. But what makes a good stroke team? Besides that, what does it take to establish a good stroke center? Opinions on this matter may be different, depending on the setting, depending on the regional, ethical, political, and other issues. It looks like it is too difficult to answer these questions explicitly without making many unnecessary assumptions. So the road to a perfect stroke care is tricky with many potential pitfalls. However, recently the World Stroke Organization had developed the roadmap to delivering quality stroke care. It is an amazing resource for neurologists and decision makers worldwide that provides a framework for implementation of quality stroke care. It describes the important milestones and levels of stroke care with requirements for each level. Fortunately, because of the regional potential issues in different countries, The quality of stroke care elements may be insufficient, especially in the acute settings. Despite having a resource with a meticulous description of stroke care requirements and goals, stroke care providers may actually struggle with achieving the set objectives. The challenges to implementing quality stroke care are many and varied. It may even seem that there is no universal stroke recipe. However, despite the diversity in stroke care settings in different regions, the important challenges could be similar for the majority of stroke physicians. I will refer to them as the roadblocks. And if there are some common roadblocks, then it is possible to create universally applicable methods to overcome them. Why could this project be viable? We base our assumptions on the results of the recent World Stroke Organization Global Stroke Bill of Rights campaign. It has shown that the needs of stroke survivors and their caregivers in every region of the world are similar, despite the diversity of settings. Similarly, despite the wide diversity among different countries, many of the challenges and issues in acute stroke care, including timely implementation of intravenous and endovascular perfusion therapies, may be at least comparable in different countries. We aim to achieve two goals. First is to identify the most common reperfusion-related roadblocks, and second is to eventually develop and test a web application as a tool to overcome the identified roadblocks. To achieve the first goal, we will have to gather data. During the first step, we will be doing teleconferences and local in-person interviews with regional stroke specialists. We need this to create a list of potential roadblocks. During the second step, we will create a questionnaire based both on the WSO roadmap and the interview's results. Also, we will validate the questionnaire during this step. Finally, we will deliver the validated questionnaire using an online platform. The roadblocks will be analyzed and categorized. Their results will be published. Why do we address only issues related to reperfusion? To reduce heterogeneity. This is a pilot project, of course, and it is hard to include everything. To further reduce heterogeneity, we will apply the following stroke specialist selection criteria. Participant must be a physician with stroke expertise, not limited to neurologists only, and participant must work in a hospital capable of at least essential stroke care, according to the WSO roadmap. What are the essential stroke care criteria according to the WSO definitions? Access to basic diagnostic services, at least limited access to emergency medical services, access to nurses, access to physicians with stroke expertise, and access to acute thrombolysis. After we understand roadblocks, we will develop an instrument to overcome roadblocks. A web application that will contain data on every roadblock with potential solutions. This application will be modular. For example, if you have a CT scanner in one building and an emergency department in another, you will not be offered relevant solutions to your specific situation. The application will contain globally accepted key performance indicators and a way to self-assess your performance before and after the implementation of the proposed solutions. And of course, we will test the application in selected hospitals. So, what are the anticipated outcomes of the project? We will be able to identify the most common roadblocks that are related to perfusion globally. We will develop an instrument to overcome the aforementioned roadblocks. And this is, I think, the most important. We will have a framework that could be used in the future to research roadblocks related to other areas of stroke care. Of course, we have some limitations. We will not be able to solve regional, financial, or political situations. But at the same time, a lot of roadblocks are related to suboptimal workflow, including inefficient stroke team interactions. So let's look at what have we done so far. First, we have already started interviews in Russia. More countries will follow soon. And we are already developing some parts of the questionnaire. Thank you for your attention. If you are interested, please feel free to contact me.